What if we saw God's mercy in the very things that seemed impossible? Before we rush to explain it, we need to feel the tension of the passage. The topic is Hezekiah's sign, the shadow moving backward, mercy, prayer, time, and God's power over what feels irreversible. Read 2 Kings chapter 20, verses 1 through 11 slowly, and keep the words anchored to the passage itself. Keep that passage in view as we move through the episode. We are not building the teaching on a mood, a quote, or a vague idea. We are staying with the actual passage. The setting matters because Scripture never asks us to pull a verse out of the story and use it like a slogan. We want to say what the passage says, and we also want to avoid claiming what the passage does not claim. Context protects us from making the Bible say less than it says, or more than it says. The sun set low as Hezekiah lay awake at night, his mind grappling with the weight of an impending death sentence. That matters because viewers are not only asking what happened, they are asking what kind of God this passage reveals. In a quiet room filled with fear and uncertainty, the shadow cast by Hezekiah's staff moved backward instead of forward. This keeps the teaching grounded. We can be emotionally honest without turning the text into something it never claimed to be. As dawn broke, Hezekiah looked out the window, seeing a miracle unfold before his eyes, a shadow that didn't conform to human logic. The strongest application comes after we have respected the story, the setting, and the exact words of Scripture. The king stood alone, contemplating whether prayer could change the course of fate. So the passage gives us both comfort and correction. Comfort because God is near. Correction because his word is deeper than our first impression. With each passing hour, Hezekiah grew more convinced that he was destined to die. But when morning arrived, Hezekiah noticed the staff still held steady despite the unexpected movement of its shadow. This keeps the teaching grounded. Overwhelmed with hope, Hezekiah began to pray fervently, begging for God's intervention. Days turned into weeks, yet the shadow remained, steadfastly pointing towards a miraculous turn of events. Hezekiah prays with deep faith, fearing for Sariah's life, but leaning on God's protection. In a moment of vulnerability, Hezekiah reaches out for help from one he had dismissed before. This keeps the teaching grounded. His heart lightens, he now understands the wisdom in Hezekiah's prayers. This sudden reversal challenges both their understanding of fate and their trust in God. Notice the emotional pressure in the passage before rushing to the lesson. Real people are involved. Real fear, confusion, weakness, or obedience is involved. A strong Bible teaching does not flatten the story. It lets the tension stay on the table long enough for the meaning to become clear. This keeps the teaching grounded. This is where the passage becomes practical, not as a slogan, but as a way of seeing God more truthfully today. A careful reading should leave us with clearer faith, stronger hope, and a deeper respect for Scripture. The main point is not that life becomes easy. The point is that God reveals his character inside the pressure of the passage. The text does not answer every question we might bring to it, and we should be honest about that. The faithful response is to bring the real struggle into the light before God instead of hiding it behind religious language. This is where the passage comes close to real life, without becoming cheap or careless. Lord, meet us honestly in this passage. Keep us close to what your word says, and make our hearts humble enough to receive it. The hope of this passage is not shallow. It is strong enough to tell the truth and still point us back to God. If this helped you see the passage more clearly, stay with Soulful Journey for more Bible teaching like the Bible story about a shadow moving backward.